Africa Summit in Sochi, Russia, with a focus on exploring and expanding opportunities in security, trade and investment, science and technology, and gas production. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President during the summit will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin to further strengthen relations in security, trade and investment, and build a partnership that will enhance Nigeria's huge gas potential following Russia's remarkable success in gas exportation. The summit is expected to bring fresh perspectives on some global issues and challenges, including nuclear technology, energy development, and agriculture, infrastructure and development strategies. An African Business Forum, which will bring together African and Russian business leaders, will be held during the events to enhance Russian investments in Africa and promote African business interests in the host country.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has assured that no amount of attacks, sponsored or otherwise, will stop the implementation of the approved presidential recommendations to inject sanity into the nation's broadcast industry.
The minister made this known in Lagos at an interactive session with members of online publishers. Anthony Forson reports.
As I speak, plans are ongoing to launch more coordinated attacks with a view to truncating the implementation of the approved recommendations. Let me be straight. No amount of attacks, sponsored or otherwise, will stop the implementation of the approved recommendations.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed explaining the reason behind the federal government's desire to inject sanity into the nation's broadcast space. The minister said since the inauguration of the 7-man committee saddled with the responsibility of implementing the presidential recommendation, which will ensure the independence of the National Broadcasting Commission, review the commission's code to reflect the upward review of sanctions against broadcast outfits that breach the code. He maintained that it is in the interest of the corporate existence of the country.
Only non-patriots and anarchists will kick against measures aimed at putting an end to fake news and hate speech, especially in our broadcast industry. Only those who are guilty should be afraid of the efforts to sanitize the broadcast industry. Responsible broadcasters have nothing to fear. This is not a move to stifle free speech or gag anyone, but purveyors of fake news and hate speech should not expect to sleep easy.
On the need to dismantle monopoly in the industry, Lai Mohammed said it is to create a level playing field for creativity. He enjoined members of the Online Publishers League to remain in vanguard of efforts to tackle fake news and hate speech. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Nigeria has sought a formal power sector intervention fund from the world, which will run in 4 tranches.
Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed at the closing briefing of the annual meeting says headway has been made in reviving the drying Lake Chad as a panacea for addressing climate change-propelled conflicts. Leah Katumba Batunde has the report.
The Nigerian delegation came for this year's annual meeting with a wish list, and right on top of it is the facility to rejuvenate the power sector. This is a crucial moment for the nation as it agrees to enter the continental trade space. However, critical infrastructure is pivotal in enjoying a level playing field with the ever-growing demand for jobs, and that is exactly what the Nigerian government is raising resources for as global trade surge.
And if we're able to expand the amount to 4 billion, the additional 1 billion is for the distribution network. So it will help us to exit this subsidy that is now inherent in the power sector. It's supposed to be to reform the sector, to restore the distribution business side of the sector, especially, on a stronger footing so that they are freed up enough to be able to go out and raise financing to invest in expanding the distribution networks.
Climate change is also a factor here. Reviving the lake chart will be taking in $170 million.
We participated in the meeting with our 4 neighboring countries. This meeting was convened by the World Bank Regional Vice President for Africa to find ways of reducing fragility through a new World Bank regional intervention. At the end of the meeting, we were able to conclude that Nigeria needed to be included in phase 1 of the project, along with the 3 other countries. And we started discussing possible projects that could be rolled out under this regional support.
And as a team reports for Nigeria, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning say government is willing to be much more transparent following the applause it got here on the nation's debt profile and disclosure. She also affirms the government is capable of weeding out vulnerabilities and returning the economy to the desired growth trajectory. From the World Bank headquarters in Washington, D.C., Leah Katunga-Babatunde, NTA News.
Now, the attention of the Federal Ministry of Communications has been drawn to the viral text message allegedly sent by the mobile network operator MTN Nigeria and other mobile operators notifying subscribers of a ₦4 charge per 20 seconds on USSD access to banking services from the 21st of October 2019. That's to date. A statement by the spokesperson of the Minister of Communications, Uwa Suleiman, indicates that the ministry is unaware of the developments and has hereby directed the sector regulator, the Nigerian Communications Commission, to ensure the suspension of such plans by operators until the minister is fully and properly briefed.
Meanwhile, Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says the Apex Bank is not part of the proposed charges imposed by telecom company in Nigeria on USSD transactions in banks. He was speaking while briefing journalists on outcome of the IMF World Bank meetings in Washington.
4 months ago, I held a meeting with some telecom companies as well as the leading banks in Nigeria at Central Bank Lagos. And the issue of the cost of USSD came up. I think I understand it's not actually ₦4. Here it's 1,500 naira per minute. I appeal to them that they should please indeed review this downwards. And they refuse. I understand almost about 3-4 weeks ago, rather than even reducing, they went ahead and increased it from 1,500 to 4,500, 300%. I opposed it.
On other issues, the Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, said the IMF and World Bank were impressed with Nigeria's monetary policies, but emphasized the need for a preemptive attempt and support for economic activities by monetary and fiscal authorities to quench the impact of the projected economic slowdown for 2020. He further pointed out that vulnerabilities as a result of rising degrees of debt levels and increased reliance on external borrowings from low-income countries should be discouraged.
The meeting also cautioned that the projected growth pickup in the emerging market areas and the Eurozone areas indeed could be elusive and further compound the growth problem even in 2020.
Godwin Emefiele further noted that the border closure will help grow local industries and ensure mutual respect among neighboring countries in the region and further engender job creation along value chains in Nigeria, and therefore advocated the need for stringent measures to be put in place to ensure total compliance by importers to regulations. In Washington, D.C., I'm Chimobi Walter Naji.
And back home, the clamour by the President's administration towards diversifying the economy for sustainable economic growth through the non-oil sector became evident with the latest book launch on exports promotion in Nigeria as it relates to laws and policies. Bosede Abel reports.
The role of exports as fundamental source of foreign exchange, which has become more paramount for diversifying the Nigerian economy, is the reason for this gathering. The launch and public presentation of the book, Export Promotion in Nigeria, Law, Policy and Practice, x-rays the non-oil export trade under legal, institutional and policy frameworks, as well as international trade conventions.
The time has come for Nigeria to join other developed countries of the world by embarking on an aggressive non-oil export drive.
The author reminded us of attempts made by successful government to address the problems of overdependence on oil.
Present at the event which took place in Abuja were top government functionaries, past and present, who lauded the content of the book, describing it as apt.
This is now my opportunity to ask everybody that is here to help me in unveiling this book. So, this book is going to really improve all Nigerians who are in that business.
My objective is that the subject of export promotion will be introduced in our various tertiary institutions. Because if we are serious about export promotion, if we are serious about non-oil export trade, by now, the subject should have been taught in our universities.
The presentation of the 427-page book was viewed by many as another deliberate effort to bring to limelight fortunes associated with exports. In Abuja, Bossede Ebo, NC News.
And on business news, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) says it is working on a framework to regulate the use of crowdfunding by small businesses to raise capital. More details of this on business news with Abdul Karim Zurumi.
On the sidelines of the ongoing annual meetings of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C., Acting Director General of the SEC, Ms. Mary Udok, says the move is aimed at protecting investors in the capital market. On the back of MTN Nigeria and Airtel's listings, Udok said it would be a great thing for more companies in the oil and gas sector to list on the stock exchange.
NNPC as a global company cannot list. It has to be the companies under NNPC that can list. And before that happens, those companies have to be restructured to meet the requirements, the listing requirements of the capital market and also the acceptability of investors. They can't just come like that. And therefore, and I also want to say that in other jurisdictions, you have companies, that is government companies like NNPC, listed in the capital market of those jurisdictions.
Udok assured that the Commission would continue to seek new ways to expand the market and release instruments that would make investments easier. And next, we take a look at the Nigerian Stock Exchange for the week ended on Friday, 18th October 2019. With business news, Abdul Karim Zurmi.
In other news, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) says it will continue to deliver across the value chain of the oil and gas sector for the benefit of Nigerians. A release by the Acting Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division of the NNPC, Samson Makoji, says the NNPC leads in the delivery of corporate social responsibility initiatives, particularly to host communities. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mille Kolokiari, who was at the 2019 NNPC Downstream Golf Tournament in Kaduna, described the events as beneficial to the health of more than 2,000 employees of the NNPC and other residents of Kaduna State.
Well, NNPC is an enabler organization. Our activities touch the lives of Nigerians in very many ways, very many positive ways. One of them is support for the community and also support for our staff.
Kaduna Refinery is one of the flagship facilities of the NNPC.
And on transportation, the federal government has taken delivery of an additional 20 coaches for the Abuja-Kaduna train service and Lagos-Ibadan rail line. Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, who disclosed this to journalists at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on his arrival from China, said the 20 coaches and 2 locomotives will arrive the country in the next 6 weeks. In its determination to make rail transport a viable means of revenue generation, the federal government recently signed an agreement with the China Railway Corporation to construct a $3.9 billion Abuja-Baru-Itakpe and Warrior Line rail line.
You're watching the news at 10 on the network service of the NTA, reaching you live from Abuja. We'll take our first break now. More reports, including
police rescue abducted officer. This and more after the break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Now to security. Troops of one division have rescued 4 kidnapped students from bandits at Gurmi village in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. A statement by the Nigerian Army Operations Media Coordinator, Colonel Aminu Iliasu, also indicates that 7 Boko Haram members trying to escape troops' onslaught were killed when their vehicles stepped on an improvised explosive device, IED, in Lamba, a forest in Borno State. The IED was laid by the terrorists. Similarly, troops in Rivers State raided a suspected sea pirates camp at Tingibi, Ogublo, local government area and recovered 1 AK-47 rifle and 3 para-red rockets.
In the meantime, Assistant Commissioner of Police Musa Rabu, abducted over the weekend, has been rescued unhurt by a combined team of police operatives from Kaduna, Niger and Zone 7 Command Headquarters, Abuja, backed up by members of the elite special forces of the Nigerian Police Force. In a statement by Force Public Relations Officer and Deputy Commissioner of Police Frank Mba, 2 male suspects have been arrested in connection with the incident and investigations are ongoing. The statement notes that the officer, who was traveling in his civil dress with his private vehicle and without escort or any special security at the time of the incident, was not targeted as a cop but purely an opportunistic crime, indiscriminately and maliciously targeted at citizens using that particular road. The Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, Mohammed Babandidi, says henceforth all persons coming in and out of the country must comply with international best practices by possessing valid registered travel documents.
He stated this during the passing out parade of 475 second converted and upgraded officers course held at the Immigration Training School, Kano. Elizabeth Yala Lamidu has details.
These are the 475 officers of the Nigerian Immigration Service who have completed a 6-week course for the second converted and upgraded officers from Inspectorate Cadre to Superintendent Cadre to deepen and widen their skills and to meet contemporary challenges. The Controller General of the Immigration Service admonished the officers to discharge their duties with utmost sense of professionalism.
But training is a huge investment which we will continue continue to do so that immigration will provide better service to Nigerians. Let me seize this opportunity and inform Nigerians that the ongoing Operation Swift Response must be sustained. I'm glad to say Mr. President has given approval for us to continue.
I urge you all to uphold and apply the requisite knowledge and good values you have imbibed during training as good ambassadors of the school and the service.
The second converted and upgraded officers also left an indelible mark at the institute by constructing and donating a borehole to ease water supply. A colorful silent drill parade was carried out by the graduates. In Kano, Elizabeth Yelame, NTV News.
Now, the National Human Rights Commission has expressed serious concern over the proliferation of illegal detention centres across the country, saying that such centres must be closed to save their victims from further torture, inhumane and degrading treatment. In a statement signed by the Director, Corporate Affairs and External Linkages, Lambert Okpara, says the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu, stated this in Abuja while reacting to the discovery of some illegal detention centres in some parts of the country. He further said that the act of torture and all forms of inhumane and degrading treatments under whatever guise are clearly illegal, constitute human rights violations under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, as well as the Convention Against Torture and other international treaties to which Nigeria is a signatory. Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary has directed the Commission's state coordinators in the Northwest to carry out an in-depth investigation into the alleged illegal detention centres, including the case of the abducted children in Kano, in line with the Commission's mandate. The Executive Secretary also called on the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Security and Civil Defence Corps, as well as other relevant law enforcement agencies operating at the federal and state government levels to be more vigilant and fish out the perpetrators of these heinous crimes and ensure that they are diligently prosecuted in accordance with the law.
Counsel to the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, has approached the Federal High Court in Maitama, Abuja, seeking to have the conditions attached to Showore's bail varied. Sowore had been unable to perfect the bail conditions given by the court. Justice Ijoma Ojukwu had on the 4th of October 2019 granted a 100 million naira bail to Sowore with two sureties. The sureties were required to deposit 50 million naira with the court registry, among other bail conditions. His co-accused Olawale Bakare was granted 50 million naira bail with two sureties. Their inability to meet the bail conditions prompted their counsel, Femi Falono San, to seek the amendment. Sowore and Bakare are facing charges of treasonable felony and causing insult to the president. Charges filed against them by the Department of State Security, DSS. They pleaded not guilty to the charges. Over 100 shops in Santana Market, one of the major markets in Benin, have been razed by fire. Only Okolo reports that one person allegedly died while trying to salvage some assets at the inferno raged.
So at the time NTA News crew arrived at the scene, the fire had blazed for several hours. Food items, clothes, generator sets, non-perishable goods had all been reduced to ashes, leaving victims with no hope of recovering any item from their shops.
All my material where I supposed to use stay neat, everything burn. All money when I borrow don't go. Goods when I can't credit, I go think and I don't know.
A few shops were still left standing, but the overall picture was one of infernal devastation. Victims have different views to what sparked the fire. They also claimed that even though Edo State Fire Service was contacted, response was not quick enough.
NPC and they call it pause. Yesterday, two times they even injure. One shock one. Go in the hospital as at now, nobody come. The rest Fire service, they don't respond.
A visit to the State Fire Service revealed the officers who were on duty were not available for comments. In Benin, Aunli Okolo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, has visited victims of the fire incidents that engulfed over 3,000 shops at Ochanja Market, Onitsha, with assurances that the federal government will expedite action on intervention plans to provide respite for the affected traders. Ekene Ndlue has details.
Arriving the scene of the disaster for on-the-spot assessment, the minister was received with cheers by much expectant victims. After duly appraising the extent of the damage, he said efforts are ongoing to provide relief for the victims.
We will rush relief down here through our zonal office in Enugu. We shall also do that in conjunction with the state government.
Moved by the plight of the traders, the minister made an on-the-spot personal donation of 1 million naira to the victims. After due deliberations with the market leaders, it was evident that the state government had much task on its hands in ensuring an efficient fire service at marketplaces. In Onitsha, Ekene Ndlue, NTA News.
You are watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. Another break beckons.
More reports ahead. Stay with us.
Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. All visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, phone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Yes. Oh. Now my dirty they smell like this. Now to throw away, I'm quick. This kind of smell fit make man sick. That woman will dirty for now. Go do the same this time around. Hold up.
See, to do this kind of badness by the book, you make sure say person will look. And then you drop a nice bros. Nothing will happen. Trust me.
See, if you throw dirty for ground, another person throw away dirty. Everybody can begin to throw away dirty for ground. Everywhere go call the smell. Gutter go block. Road go block. And you will like to dab. Now say no more dabbing for you be that too. Jab, jab. Yes.
This is the network service of the NTA.